And I also want to introduce Commissioner Tom Earl of the Economic Development Commission, who is our ex officio member from the EDC. Tom, would you like to say a couple words?
Sure. Glad to join this group. I'm an ex officio member and a liaison with the Economic Development Commission. I've been on that commission for probably 7 or 8 years now, and really have enjoyed that.
This meeting is being recorded.
And I really enjoyed that. I'm retired. I had a long career at Westminster School as the CFO there and director of their building committee, and just happy to be joining your group.
Thank you so much. We are really happy to have you. And I think there's a lot of rich material that you'll be able to share with us and that we'll be able to help your commission with as well.
I'm sure there is.
If I could just jump in real quick, I'm curious, the Economic Development Commission, can you say a few words about what that is? So I'm not familiar with it.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah. The Economic Development Commission is a group of, I think there's 7 of us, appointed by the Board of Selectmen. And our main task is to enhance the economic development of the town. We do that in a lot of ways. Right now, our main project is we're looking into all the vacant office spaces in Simsbury, talking with owners and their representatives and trying to find out why there are so many empty spaces, history of those buildings, what they think we could do from the town point of view to help them, whether it's advertising or repurposing. That's a long project. We're working with the Main Street Partnership. Hope to have that project completed in the next 2 or 3 months and then present that information back to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's really helpful background for the group. And now with Brian joining, we actually have a full slate of the at-large members, so that's fantastic. And we have a bulk of our ex officio members in place now as well with Commissioner Earl's appointment. So this is good news for the committee. With that in mind, the next agenda item would be the silent roll call, which Chris is managing for us.
Yes,
and
I have everybody.
Excellent. And we have a quorum then.
Yep.
Right. We will move into public audience. I will remind folks, because I do see some new faces tonight, public audience, 5 minutes per speaker. When you begin, please give your name and address. Thank you. So do we have anyone who is interested in speaking tonight during public audience? No? Okay. Then we will move on to the approval of September's minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 2025 regular meeting as submitted?
Approve the minutes.
Michael.
Michael moves to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. Was that Baird?
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Great. So then the minutes will be approved as submitted. That brings us to our reports from ex officio members. And let's see, is there Lydia? I'm going to put you on the spot if you don't mind. Would you like to kick us off?
Sure. I'll abstain from September's meeting since I was out of town. But for those that are new, I am Lydia Tadone, and I am a member of the Simsbury Board of Education. So just in a abbreviated version, we started off the year in September. It's already October, hard to believe. We have 400 new students across seven schools. We have 2 new administrators. We have a Mr. Scott Redmond at the high school as our new assistant principal, and we have Miss Vanessa Messiah over at Central School. She is our new principal. And the other really great thing that's been going on within the district for quite a while is 2 Old Farms Road, and that is the building, the white building right next to the high school. You may notice it if you pass that way. And that is now going to become our new school. It's a contained a program for special ed students, and we call that New Path program. And right now, there's a lot of renovations going on underway. The Board of Selectmen had voted last spring to purchase. And as I said, the renovations are going on underway, and hopefully, with the phase one part of the program, we'll have students entering into the school in late fall. These students are students that are presently in our district, but these students are special ed students that are not within the high school, but are students that are in other facilities, other agencies due to their special education 504 or IEPs. So that's where they are. As you know, we spend quite a bit of money on sending these students to outside facilities and agencies because we, as the Simsbury Board of Education and Public Schools, it cannot offer services presently in our building. So this New Path program at 2 Old Farms will be taking the place, and we hope to, have our students that are at outside agencies and other schools to come back and rejoin us because the services here at the new program will be amenable to them, and we have existing staff that will be teaching in the school. So we're really excited about it. Once we have the place up and running, we'll have a groundbreaking, and the public will be allowed to come and see the school. So I'll keep you all abreast of that at the time.
Thank you very much.
Lydia, just a quick question. I'm not sure what the extent of the renovations are, but when that process was laid out, was there like an eye towards sustainability?
Yes, yeah, because that building was actually belonged to Mike Gerard Development at that time. So the building is there, the property, the driveway, what have you. So when the town was looking at that, they had quite a few things to consider, and there are going to be some pieces within that building because they're transforming it from an office building for classroom space, workspace, also space for our students that are of mobility needs. So there's quite a bit going into it. It's going to be a complete reno in there. The shell is great. It's just there's about 4 floors in there, 3 floors in there, and that's what they're going to be looking at. So.
Okay.
Great. And I think Brian might, if I can guess at, or elaborate on maybe what your question was there, knowing that we've had the sustainability plan draft underway and where we are hoping, and of course that's going, and we'll discuss that later in the agenda, but where there are things like HVAC systems that might be installed, considering net zero systems, like a heat pump, or, I would imagine that site's probably not a candidate for geothermal, but something along those lines, if that's part of the consideration for the renovations.
Yeah, the whole night, windows
Right.
insulation. Again, I wasn't sure what the, extent to the renovations was, and
Yeah.
wasn't sure what systems were being touched.
I don't have that information right off the top of my head. We could probably get that. I could get that from, Board of Education because they would know all the statistics exactly what is encompassed in that renovation project. It's unlike the Latimer Lane project where we built the renovation as new. This is not. This is an existing building, and
Sure.
we are going to retrofit this building for the needs of our students. So there is an elevator presently in the building is what we needed, for our students because there's many of our students are in wheelchairs and what have you. But the reason why we looked at the building and the town looked at the building, it's because it's close to the high school. So we have combined services for staff, faculty, cafeteria needs, what have you. It's right there, and there isn't a large component of having to for staff and parents to have to drive to come back to the high school. So that is a big piece of it.
Is there anything within the town, whether it be an education or some other town property, is there anything that, when they take on a project, is there anything in the regulations that requires them to look at, these sorts of projects with a sustainability lens, or is that something we're still kind of working on?
Brian, that's an excellent question. That's actually the heart of our sustainability plan, which we'll be presenting to the selectmen next week. So that that be part of any building renovations in the town.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lydia. Anything else from Board of Ed?
That's it for now.
Thank you. Joe, can I put you on the spot and have you go next?
Yeah, sure. For Brian and Tom, I'm Joe Daly. I'm on the recycling committee. The recycling committee, their primary responsibility is operating the swap shop, which is located at the transfer station on Wolcott Road. It's open April through October on Saturdays from 9 to 2. So we have 3 Saturdays left, and members members of the recycling committee and also the Lions Club and also a couple community volunteers help staff it. And primarily they have to evaluate items that people bring in for potential adoption, and we evaluate them, and if we think they can be adopted, then we'll house them in the swap shop. So it's a pretty interesting time there, seeing the different things that come in. And again, it's all free. So anybody can drop something off and anybody can stop by and adopt something for free. So again, there's 3 more Saturdays left here for the season with the swap shop. And then just one other thing I had for Chris. Chris, I saw your email about that the transfer the transfer station, the fees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that, but yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, it is posted, and that's a good document because it really spells out what's accepted at the transfer station, what you need a permit for, what you don't need a permit for, and the costs associated with the different items. So that's good. I'm glad that's there. And then just the other question on the waste stats. I guess we don't get any stats on commercial or residential waste collected by USA Waste and Recycling.
No, we don't get it. I don't know if they supply that to the state,
Yeah.
just like we have to supply it to the state
Mm-hmm.
for the bulky waste facility. I don't know if they're required to provide that to the state. So their data may be out there, but they may be giving it directly to the state and we don't have access to it.
Yeah, and on the Deep website, there are some old links to stuff like that, but a lot of the stats are fairly old. So that's just something, we're searching for. So I'll keep maybe I'll work with Jen on that just to see if Deep has anything that we don't. So but that's the update, Jamie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll definitely hope people take advantage of those last 3 weekends.
Yep.
Excellent.
Sorry, Jamie, quick question.
Yes.
Is USA Waste the only provider that serves Simsbury from a pickup standpoint, residential pickup?
Yeah, so at this moment, they recently, I don't know, merged, acquired with Paynes. It
Paynes,
had
yeah.
been USA and Paynes. So now they had, I believe the Paynes family sold the business for retiring or something along those lines. There are, and unfortunately Jen did have to drop, but I don't, and Chris could keep me informed on this. I don't believe that there are other options?
No,
No.
Right.
there are not.
And then,
Yeah, they're not.
you
Yeah,
know,
and you
Okay.
can't bring household waste to the
To the-
transfer station.
Sure,
Correct.
sure. I was actually
Yeah.
thinking of the latest newsletter that came out, which was very helpful from a recycling standpoint. Um, I didn't know whether that was USA Waste specific, for residential pickup, or whether that's, all providers that were in Simsbury, but I wasn't sure if there were any other providers in Simsbury. So,
Yeah, we did
No.
try, yeah, kudos to Baird and his
Yeah.
work on that, and all the folks that help support the writing on that. And we definitely did try to tailor that to residents here in Simsbury and what's available to us.
yeah.
And for those who might not be aware of what Brian's referencing, we do publish a newsletter. Simsbury Sustainability Committee does publish a newsletter. You can find it on our Facebook page, on the website. So definitely a great resource that has been a labor of love for Baird.
Mhm.
All right. We do not have Holly with us tonight, correct?
No, not that I see.
Okay. So Tom, I could put you on the spot. Did you want to share an update for us tonight from the Economic Development Commission, or will you be sort of just auditing this evening?
I could talk briefly about the commission.
Great.
The mandate we have from the Board of Selectmen is to find ways to expand the town's grand list, but expand it responsibly while maintaining the character of the town, and that's always a very tricky business. We've looked at things like revising the tax abatement policies of the town to encourage businesses to come into town, or try to keep businesses in town that have thought about moving. Again, we're focusing now on the lot of vacant office spaces in town and how to repurpose them or find ways that the town can help them to fill those spaces, which would increase the tax rolls for the town. It's an active committee that meets once a month, like your committee, and we assigned several of these empty office spaces to various members who have called the owners and the representatives to talk with these people. We're inviting them to come in to meet with us and to discuss the problems they're having and how we might, as a town, help them fill their properties. So it's a learning process for us, and it's going to take a while to put it all together, but we think it's important for the town.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Tom, I'm
Okay.
curious if something like a solar panel farm or a battery storage site or something like that expresses an interest in town property, does something like that go through the EDC committee?
It would get to us eventually. I mean, it would maybe even start with us. It depends on who's making that suggestion. It may start with members from other committees, or it may come through the town of selectmen. It may come through the various, the zoning or planning commission. We would look at it and research it and make recommendations on it. Things like that do come to us, and again, we're really trying to. The tax rates in the town are going up, and we're really given the mandate to find out how we can keep those rates competitive with the neighboring towns and keep the tax rates hopefully lower than they are projected to be the next few years.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'm going to move into the next agenda item. We have no old business this evening. So the first item under new business, speaking of solar, is a presentation from Lodestar regarding their the proposal of a solar installation on Nod Road near the Talcott Mountain Collective. So I'm not sure who will be presenting, and if you need permission, I didn't receive any materials in advance to put up myself, but Sam, is that you who's leading the presentation?
This is me. Yeah, I'll be leading. And then I just to introduce myself, I'm Sam Balone. I'm a project manager at Lodestar Energy. Also speaking today will be Jeff Masel, who is the co-founder of Lodestar Energy. And he also happens to be a resident of Simsbury and neighbor of this project. And then we also have Steve Coaches on the line, who is from VHB. He's doing the civil engineering and environmental engineering on the project. Sorry, my cat is just attacking my video screen, so I'm just moving him out of the way. Sorry about that.
No worries. We welcome furry members here as well.
All right, so I'm gonna do a brief introduction to the project, and I can share my screen for that. Then I'll pass it to Steve to give some more detail on the civil and environmental items. And then I was thinking we could open it up to Q&A, if that sounds good to you guys. So let me see if I have sharing permissions.
Thought I did permission for multiple.
There we go.
Working? Okay.
All right, I think that should work. You guys see that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, oh no, just exited 1 minute. All right, so here is a map of the property. It's on 140 Nod Road. And we're presenting a solar project here, and it's great to speak in front of you all tonight. We've already talked with various members from Simsbury, including Tom Roy, about Access Road, and we talked to George McGregor, Mark Nelson, Wendy Maxtutis, and other members of the Board of Selectmen. So we've heard a lot of their recommendations, as well as State Representative Melissa Osborne and Senator Paul Hogan. So thank you for having us here tonight. So as you can see, the property here, it was an old golf course. It's now being used for disc golf. And the property abuts the Metacon Gun Club to the north, as well as the state police shooting range a little bit further to the north over here. Across the river, there's a good amount of development and housing units going on. And our project is going to be kind of on the northern corner, switching over here to this other layout. So the northern portion of the site. We'll cover about 19 acres with our solar panels, access roads, stormwater basins, all of the limit of disturbance combined. The total property is 118 acres. So we will be leasing just that 19-acre portion from the landowner, Simsbury Real Estate Holdings. And the way we kind of found this property was the landowner had an RFP out looking to do solar, and we won that RFP. So the original RFP actually included 2 pieces of property, the one that we're on, as well as the piece of property across Nod Road next to the Farmington River. So we looked into that, and originally they wanted solar on that side too, but we actually stripped it back a little bit and took it off of this parcel because of its proximity to the Farmington River, and it would have been in a regulated floodway. So we already kind of pared that back to just the eastern side of Nod Road. Just a little bit more about the solar itself, and I'll switch over to the overview of the site plan here. The solar will be 4.65 megawatts AC, and it's a fixed tilt system, so the panels are stationary, they're not rotating. We're going to the Connecticut Siting Council for permitting because any project over 2 megawatts has to go to the Siting Council in the state of Connecticut. So we are prepping to submit to them and plan to submit to them probably end of this month. And they typically take about 6 months to review the site. And throughout that process, it is iterative. They're going to give us interrogatories. We respond. There's chances to update the site plan. There's chances to talk to you, other members of Simsbury, as we've been doing and getting feedback. And like, we're definitely willing to take recommendations into consideration in the site plan. Just some more about like the background of how the project originated. It is part of the statewide Shared Clean Energy Facilities program. It's called SCEF, and it's a competitive auction process that happens every year. It's been in place for the past 6 years, and we were one of the projects to bid into that auction, and we're selected. So one of the few solar projects selected in 2024. And then just like some benefits of the project, the town of Simsbury will receive taxes upwards of 50,000, about 56,000, including personal and real property taxes. And then the actual energy that the solar is producing, the electrons go to the grid and will be utilized locally in businesses and homes in Simsbury. And in terms of the electricity credits, which you may have heard of, we are selling the electricity directly to Eversource, and Eversource will deliver discounted electricity to low and moderate income subscribers throughout the state of Connecticut. Interconnection wise, it's for part of Eversource's distribution system. They have 3-phase already existing on the road, so we're going to connect to that. And we've applied for interconnection, and Eversource is currently studying the project. So hopefully in a year or so, they'll complete the study and issue us an interconnection agreement. Moving on to some just environmental protection measures. I know wetlands is a big topic. We are maintaining 100-foot buffer from all wetlands. Tree clearing, we have very limited tree clearing. This is on the golf course, which is used for disc golf. So there's a few scattered trees here and there, and in total we'll clear about 2.5 acres of non-contiguous trees. But we've consulted with Connecticut Deep Forestries Division, and we're not going to be affecting any core forest. We've also applied to Connecticut Deep's National Diversity Database. You plug in the site and they kind of spit back at you any like rare or endangered species to be aware of and any recommended measures. So there were a few bats, reptiles, turtles that were found, especially because it's proximity to the Farmington River. But we are going to follow all of DEEP's recommended measures, which include the 100-foot buffer from wetlands. We're going to have a qualified herpetologist on site during construction to monitor for reptiles, and also seasonal tree clearing restrictions to not interfere with the bats. Additionally, floodplain, it is not located within the Farmington regulatory floodway, but is within the 100-year floodplain. 4 acres of the project, not the entire 19. We are going to be having stormwater basins put in there, and that's going to create actually additional compensatory storage in the area. And I can let Steve, the civil engineer, get more into that later. But we will be creating additional compensatory storage. Then just a bit on agriculture and prime farmland. There are some soils on this property that are designated as prime farmland soils. So we're consulting with the Connecticut Department of Agriculture, and we're going to be putting in a pollinator-friendly seed mix that combines native grasses and wildflowers. We're going to supplement that with an apiary on site and some blueberry plantings on the perimeter of the fence. And we have a very extensive soil management plan pre and post construction. And we're going to be doing regular soil testing throughout the lifespan of the solar, just to make sure the prime farmlands are in good condition. And once it's decommissioned, once the solar is decommissioned, we'll retest the soil and make sure it's restored to its prior condition. Additionally, we will have an agricultural style fencing that has a 6-inch gap underneath. So wildlife, small wildlife can migrate under the fencing and into the panel area. And then lastly, I know visibility is a big topic when it comes to solar. So our panels are located at least 50 feet from Nod Road, and there is some existing vegetation there. But we're going to supplement that with a vegetative screening. So we'll be planting evergreen trees and shrubs to reduce that visibility. So I know that was a lot, but before we get to Q&A, let me just pass it to Steve, who can go into a little bit more detail on some of the topics I just mentioned.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you, Sam. Sam stole a lot of my thunder there, but I'll do my
Sorry.
best to. I deleted a lot of stuff from my prime presentation, and I'll fill in the gaps here. But I did want to give a quick, like, 10-second spiel. Steve Coaches. I'm a professional engineer here in Connecticut. Been working here for 20 years, ever since graduating from UConn. And you guys the committee may or may not be familiar with VHB, but we've been around in the state for 30 or 40 years now. And over the last 8 years, we've been affiliated with the Tobacco Valley Solar project that's constructed and operational in town, as well as the Hartford North and Hartford South redevelopments. The Hartford North being the one that's operational, constructed and operational at this point, and the Hartford South redevelopment along Hop Meadow Street that's currently working through the town permitting process right now. So VHB is very active in the town, and always happy to work with you guys on this kind of stuff. So just to add a little color to what Sam did, and I'm not going to regurgitate most of that. We've got a full boundary and topographic survey in hand, A2T2. She discussed the FEMA classification of the site. You can see it on the map there, the Farmington River, of course, in the northwest. The blue line that runs parallel to it is the 100-year floodplain. You can see that it's chopping off about a third or a quarter, about a quarter of our solar farm. The critical infrastructure for the solar farm is located outside of the 100-year flood. That would be the transformers and the inverters and any sort of interconnection poles. So they would not be impacted by any flood limits. In general, the site, as many solar farms do, intends to maintain the existing grade, keep the existing vegetation on the site. We're not looking to regrade any portions of the site except for some tee boxes and bunkers that have steeper slopes, and we just want to like flatten out a little bit. I think the total amount of grading we're looking to do is maybe half an acre here of the 17 or 18 acres. And to that end, we're not really changing the grades here on the site, as Sam noted, certainly not within the floodplain. We've got a couple basins there that you see in brown within the floodplain, pretty much entirely cut. And the fill associated with the solar panels themselves is just small bits of H piles and a few inches of modules. But the cut fill within the floodplain shows that it's a massive net cut within the floodplain. So good on compensatory storage. The groundwater classification in the area is GA. We are in an aquifer protection area. That's the red line that you see on this plan. So we have been coordinating with the CT Deep Aquifer Protection Area Management Program. We've received the list of proposed best management practices from them, and we intend to implement them in this project as well. The site is not in a public water supply area. For noise, which is obviously a huge hot button topic in the state right now. The equipment, the noise generating equipment has been placed, the current plans have them 230 feet away from any property line, which is a pretty significant distance away from any property line. And jumping ahead on my agenda and adding color to Sam's comments about the visual impacts, the nearest residence to the project is 500 feet to the north, a residence owned by the gun club. And Otherwise, the nearest residence is over 1,200 feet away to the south of the project. So putting it all together, our noise generating equipment is 230 feet away from the property line of the right of way of Nod Road, and probably more like 700 or 800 feet away from any existing residents in the area. We're working through the FAA to ensure that there will be no hazard from the project. We currently don't exceed the notice criteria there. And the last bit is that we are also in the middle of, or we have worked with the State Historic Preservation Office. We've consulted heritage consultants to do an analysis of the site. They've also dug shovel pits here to look for artifacts. Nothing here was deemed significant or potential to be a historic resource, and we received a SHPO concurrence letter agreeing with those findings. That's what I had to add.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. So yeah, I think we can just open it up to questions and answers if that's okay with you all.
Yes, please. Folks, if we want to use the raise hand to identify that you'd like to ask a question, it'll just help keep things orderly. So if anyone would like to ask a question.
This is Mike Schulis. I'd like to ask a question. I'm trying to look for my hand raising thing here, but
Go for the old-fashioned way then.
Yeah, none of the energy is coming to Simsbury. It's all being exported out. It's all going to other towns.
It's not directly going to any one town. The electrons are just going out to the grid.
Well, but it's not going here though, right?
Not directly, no.
So no citizens in Simsbury will receive any of the kilowatts. Is that a fair statement?
You
said it was it's like what's it, a 4.65 megawatt project?
Mm-hmm.
That's about 15 roughly percent of the megawatts that we use, and it's all going to other towns.
So this is Jeff Masel speaking. 100% of the
Did
energy.
you speak before?
Pardon?
Oh, I didn't hear you speak before. Who is this?
This is Jeff Masel. I'm founder and managing director of Lodestar, and the closest abutter to this project. I live here in Simsbury. This shared clean energy facility program does not have a mechanism for us to sell energy. We do not sell it to a town. It goes 100% back to Eversource. So we don't have a contract with anyone. It goes 100% to Eversource. The electrons will go to everyone's house. It'll go to my house. It'll go to your house. It will be put on the grid in Simsbury, but Eversource administers what happens to the energy once they purchase it on site. So there's no, unlike the NRES program, which is here in Connecticut, where you can sign a contract and sell it to different municipalities. This is part of the shared clean energy facility. It goes right back to Eversource.
Okay. All right.
That's a great clarification. Thank you. Do we have another question?
I had a
Joe,
question.
I see you, Joe. Go ahead.
So just to be clear on the taxes, so you're estimating about 56 grand a year?
That's correct.
Yes.
And how many years is it like engineered for?
Yeah, so the SCAF program that we were mentioning goes for 20 years. So 20 years will be the minimum that it's operational for. But at the end of that 20 years, you can always replace the panels and upgrade the equipment and kind of repower the site. So our lease with the landowner can go up to 40 years.
Okay. So the only
Sam,
way,
just to add clear color there, that's also contingent on, I believe, and I'm not super familiar with SCAF, but that's also contingent on the energy company's willingness to purchase your power 20 years from now for another 20
Yes,
years,
exactly.
right?
There would have to be a successor program because the SCAF program actually just ended. So if there were a successor program, we could potentially apply to it and keep it going or decommission it after 20 years.
so just getting back to how it contributes to the town. So when I go on Energize CT and I go on the rate board, to pick my provider, and pick my, cost per kilowatt hour. So this will contribute to the Eversource generation rate, I guess, right?
Yes. Right. Jeff can add more color to that, but yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, so Eversource typically buys power from the wholesale market. So this is power they would not have to buy from the wholesale market.
Okay, so it could potentially, well, it wouldn't just be from our town, but it would be their generation rate for all of their area in Connecticut.
Correct.
Okay.
So, but in the end of the day, if you do the math, this is fractionally all in less than 1% impact on the power grid to Simsbury at the most, not even that probably, right? Because at the end of the day, if we're 30 megawatts and this is 4.65 and the whole state's got to be way bigger than 30, right? So, all right, well, it's fine. I mean, it's a good project. It's always good to do these types of things, but I was just, for some reason, I had a feeling that this was like, had something more to do with Simsbury from a sense of sustainable energy for us. All right, that's fine.
And
Jared,
I'll
I
just add
see.
some color there, Mike. And Jeff and Sam hop in because you're the experts here. But it goes both ways, Mike. So these energy projects, the idea is that they're sited, the power is distributed to where it needs to go, and similarly, Simsbury could be purchasing power from a renewable energy project, a town over or a state over as well. So it does go both ways. It all depends on how your town's energy contracts are lined up and everything. But Jeff, am I kind of right in saying that?
That's right. So each of the utilities, Eversource and United Illuminating, have what's called a renewable portfolio standard, where they have to purchase 20% of their power from renewable sources. So this will help fulfill Eversource's requirement to purchase renewable energy. So whether they bought it from here, they would have to find a renewable source to purchase it from. So it helps fulfill that obligation to green the grid.
So this location is part of a greater effort across the state, across all sorts of organizations like your own, to green the state everywhere, regardless of the geographic location.
Correct.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense.
Yep.
All right. And I hope you guys don't think I was thinking that you guys weren't doing a good service. I'm just like, oh, for some reason I thought this was directly related to the town of Simsbury, but now thank you for the clarification. Very appreciative.
Yeah, I
then
think the state has its own energy policy, Jeff, to be carbon free by 2040, is it? So I mean that's the state policy that this type of project is fulfilling. It really is a directive and an incentive of the state itself.
And I do recognize Baird's hand is up and then followed by Daniela.
And just two quick things. I mean, kind of going off what Michael was saying, at one point, Simsbury back in 2015, 2016 was a leader in renewable energy in the state. And now we're in the bottom third of towns in our state in terms of renewable energy. So I see this as a great, boost forward of that we're producing some of the energy that we use. And then my mind is never very good about megawatts. Roughly how many households is 4.6 megawatts?
It's about 450 households.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniela.
Could you walk me through what are the opportunities for community input or community education that you guys are mapping out? Whether it's, Sam, you walk through the permitting processes that you have to go through. So would love to get a sense of where the community outside of this meeting can hear about this project, provide input, get educated on it.
Yeah, so as I was saying before, we did meet with some of the other town representatives, some of the Board of Selectmen, Tom Roy, George McGregor. They kind of worked together and gave us some questions and recommendations and provided that to us. And then we sent a response back to them, and we offered to meet again and do a site walk for really any one of you guys or any other board member who's open to doing it. Where even once we apply to the siting council, you can still contact us anytime. We're still happy to meet and take kind of suggestions and recommendations. You can also write in comments to the siting council themselves once we apply. So yeah, I don't know, Jeff, if I missed anything, but.
No, I don't think so. And once we submit to siting council, there are public forums. But I think for purposes of this board, we'd welcome you out for a site walk. We'd love to coordinate that with, the select board as well, just so that we can kind of have all our consultants there and answer any questions that anyone has. So if you guys want to think about a time to come out, we'd be happy to host you.
That'd be great.
Also, once we submit to the siting council, we'll have like an application number that'll be posted online, and it's made public for everyone. So any documentation that we submit related to the project will be publicly available. So anyone can view that. Also, a little before we apply, we'll send out notices to all of the neighbors or abutters to inform them.
Great. Awesome.
And
Thanks.
Danielle, as an easy action step for us after this too, is when we get closer to finalizing the plans toward the end of the month, we can certainly send courtesy copies to the Conservation Commission here, so you guys have those, and we'll have a copy of our filing. We're happy to provide that, so you have all the information that Sam and Steve had provided here, just the latest and greatest versions.
That would be great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Sam or Jeff, could one of you guys just briefly touch on Simsbury's role in the approval process versus the siting council's role in the approval process?
Important distinction. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, go for it, Jeff, if you want.
Sure. So the siting council process does not require, what we do is we consult with every elected official, and we like to, we've done 11 of these facilities in Connecticut. We like to reach out to the town's planning board, the Conservation Commission, and the Board of Selectmen, just to get feedback, because there are always questions about sites and concerns. The siting council process doesn't require any of that, but we think it's a best practice to do, and try to incorporate that feedback into our design. So it's a public outreach opportunity. Once we apply to the siting council, there is an opportunity for public comment and town participation formally. So if the town wants to participate in the process, they can elect to do that. But if they don't elect to do that, then they really don't have a role in it at all. So that process is really something that is up to the town, whether or not they want to be part of the siting council process as well.
Thank you.
And then, Brian, I do see your hand. I want to ask one more elaboration on this point. Typically, the siting council would hold some open comment period for public input. That is, yes. So that is also a way that residents can be engaged in the process, regardless of what our local elected officials decide how to engage. Excellent. Brian, I'll move to you.
Sure. Just one comment and two questions. For comment is really around the 100-year floodplain. I'm just curious whether that's an updated 100-year floodplain, because I hear they've proven to be quite unreliable, considering the newer climate effects that we're seeing. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know how old that floodplain line is. The two questions I had. The first one is the area due south of where the panels are located. It's kind of like a footprint shaped area with the green lines and then the blue around it. What is that section right there?
That, I believe, is a man-made pond, kind of right next to the golf course.
Yeah,
No.
that's the pond, and then the first green line on the inside is the delineated wetlands. associated with that pond. The first green line outside of that is a 50-foot offset line, and the blue dash line is a 100-foot offset.
Okay, so that's wetland area. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a built environment or not.
Yeah, and
Okay.
regarding the floodplain, I know we did the calculation for compensatory storage off the current FEMA floodplains as well as the updated ones, which I don't think have gone into effect. But I don't know, Steve, if we're showing the updated one or the current one.
The way I would answer that is that this line in front of you is the current in place line. I mean, that's the design standard today. We are aware, and we have done the research, that there is a proposed FEMA line out there right now. It proposes raising the base flood elevation associated with the Farmington River by a little bit over a foot. It's like 1.1 feet. So that is to say, it would certainly extend. It's a fairly steep site. It would extend a little bit to the east from what you see, but it would not reach any of our critical infrastructure even once that flood line is adopted.
Yeah. Okay. The only other question I had, and it's more just for my own knowledge and learning, when these solar farm projects are proposed, especially these days with the rapidly falling cost of batteries, is battery storage typically looked at in conjunction with solar farms, or are those two projects just like completely different in terms of their considerations, or are there benefits to putting a battery storage system co-located with the solar farm?
It's a great question. So in Massachusetts, we look at battery storage because it's permissible by the utilities that we interconnect with, and incented in the program. In Connecticut, it is not incented or easy to work with the utilities to do. So we have not been doing it in Connecticut. We would love to see, and have been advocating for, a program at the legislature for the last 5 or 6 years. And I see we've got Mark Scully from PACE on as well. He's been advocating on behalf of PACE at the legislature as well. So we've all been making those efforts and are hoping a program will arrive here sometime, but it's not here yet.
Is that something individual town sustainability committees can also maybe get involved in to advocate for?
We would love that. And I think we'd be happy to share our legislative session tends to start in January and ramp up for like a June close of the session. So between January and June of next year, we'll be back at it working with the Energy and Technology Committee. And that's a great opportunity for us to work together.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems, from a grid stability standpoint, it just, having those facilities, only brings benefits.
Agreed.
My question is going to go in a different direction. So if anyone has any follow-up questions related to either the battery storage, I can hold. Okay. Then I would like to ask Sam, thank you very much for detailing some of the considerations that are already in place from the biodiversity perspective, as well as, and I don't want to use this term, cheaply, but aesthetics or the character of the area. Two questions that I have that have been shared by members of the community include the tourism impact, what the view may look like for those enjoying the Hugh Tower, and you mentioned plantings. Is there an intent to ensure that the view from the tourists or the impacts for tourism from in the Hugh Tower area would be minimized through some of these biodiversity plantings, et cetera? So that's my first question, and then I have a second.
Got you. Yes. So, I mean, definitely, as I said, along Nod Road, we are planting vegetative screening. In terms of from the Hugh Tower, it is pretty far away from the site, and I believe we'll have very limited visibility. I don't know, Jeff, if you have any more comments since you're more familiar with the area. But
so I will say we did the Hugh hike My wife and I did it on Sunday morning, and we actually went up the tower Sunday. And I was looking down at this. I actually took some photos, which I'd be happy to share with the commission as well. I think Sam's point is correct that there will be, it is not going to have a significant impact on the view shed from up there. The feasibility of being able to mask the array from up there, I just don't think there's any kind of feasible way to do that, because your line of sight is so far away. So I just think that would be a challenge, but I don't think it's going to have a significant visual impact on what it looks like from the tower, and that's from being up on the at the top of the tower. So happy to share those photos and let the commission kind of use their own imagination. We are performing some studies on behalf that will be submitted to the siting council, which are some visual simulations to show what it looks like from adjacent parcels and from different viewpoints. So Sam or Steve may be able to provide more information on that.
I'll only add one piece of color there to the visual impacts from the tower or from anywhere else. I mean, what we do like to say about these solar farms is there's nothing tall out here. The highest panel, the highest piece of equipment is on the order of probably 8 or 9 feet above grade, and that's it. So it's not, to Jeff's point, you're not going to be able to mask it. You can see this plan. The tower itself has got to be at least 600 or 700 feet above this facility in vertical elevation. You're going to look right down on it. It's almost impossible to shield that unless you had something a couple hundred feet high. You might not even want to do that. But you're going to be able to look right over these panels because at the highest point, they're 8 or 9 feet tall.
Thank you. That's helpful context. The other question that I've had shared with me is consideration for larger. So you mentioned fencing gaps for smaller wildlife, but Simsbury being known for its bears. So is there any passage considerations for deer, bears, things along those lines? And is there any anticipated impact to denning bears, for example?
So per the National Electric Code, we have to have the whole array fenced off, and we have to have, I believe it's a 6-foot tall fence. We do the 6-inch small animal gap. So yes, deer and bears would not be able to enter through there. I mean, it is 19 acres of a much larger 118-acre property. So the idea is they would kind of migrate around it. But Steve or Jeff, feel free to add any more color.
So I would say, in this area, I'm not a bear expert, but I'm more or less 99.9% positive. No bears are denning in this area at this point. They find my trash, but they do not den in the middle of the golf course. So I don't think we're going to have any impact on denning bears. But I will, of course, defer to Steve on that, who can probably provide more color. And the deer are, Sam, able to get in the 6 inches. They can get under and on both sides. So 6 inches, it's kind of amazing. Deer find a way under those. So I think that they will be able to pass through. That's been our experience with our other facilities.
Thank you. Any builds, Steve?
I don't think I have any. I'm notably not a wildlife expert. Jeff said a couple things I cannot confirm or deny, so I'll take his word for it. He probably knows more about bears and deer than me. But I will just correct Sam on one thing. The electric code is a 7-foot high fence, unless you do a 6-foot with a barbed wire atop, but I don't think Lodestar is intending to use barbed wire here.
No, that's right. Yeah, you're right. 7 feet. Thanks for clarifying.
Excellent. Are there any further questions?
I was just curious, what drove the decision around the size of this? Because it looks like you actually have a lot more land you could have used. So what led you to end up with the size project that you have?
It really just had to do with the landowner and the land that they were willing to lease to us. They wanted to keep it under 20 acres.
Okay.
Sam, is there something to be said that the SCEF also has a maximum megawatt output as well?
Yeah,
That
the
program?
program we applied to has a maximum of 5 megawatts AC, so we're at 4.65, so very close, as much as we could fit on that portion of the property.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to add even further color to Sam's answer, that was obviously 100% correct and accurate, is my guess is that Lodestar would love to put panels across this whole disc golf course. But it's all about, it's a competitive acquisition of contracts for these energy credits. So the real answer is it's a competitive process that you bid into, and they got what they were physically able to get here for
Yeah,
a contract.
and above 5 megawatts, we would be considered utility scale, and that's a whole different ball game. Takes a very long time. You're on the wholesale market, so Lodestar stays under 5 megawatts.
I see. Okay.
Thank you. The Lodestar team, I think that was very informative. It really, filled in a lot of questions that people had and also gave us an insight into the proposal that we didn't have before this meeting. So I personally appreciate that. And I'll hold for one more moment if there are any questions remaining. Okay, well then I would thank the Lodestar team very much, and you're free to drop at this moment.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
all so
having
much.
us.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Feel
Thank you
free to
very
reach out
much.
with any more questions.
Will do,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Appreciate that.
Bye.
Okay. I want to keep us moving along, and we're going to touch base on our next new business item, which is a reminder that our sustainability plan will be presented to the Board of Selectmen at their meeting next Wednesday, 6 p.m. in the town hall offices. So if you are able to attend in person or in any way, even submit public comment in advance if you're not able to attend in support of the plan. That moral support would mean a lot. We have been meeting, so that we've been discussing, I should say, with stakeholders in town about the plan as we've been finishing the draft. This committee is aware of that work. And I will say over the last week, especially, I think we've reached a point where we're feeling pretty confident about going to the board next week and requesting at the least their endorsement of moving forward with the sustainability plan. And just as a reminder for folks at this moment in time, that the key focus on what is being presented is related to energy, to clean energy, to solar on schools and on our town buildings, as well as other considerations for heating systems and such. There is more to it. If anyone doesn't have the latest draft of the plan, please reach out. Happy to share that. But this isn't, by any means a comprehensive view on everything we want to achieve as a committee, but this is the first very solid piece that we are presenting this year for the endorsement from the selectmen. And we are continuing, of course, our work on waste as our waste working group and other topics. So please know that this is just one first concrete step in a long roadmap to make our town see the investments of sustainable choices and see those economic savings, as well as yielding the impact for our community. All right. Any questions about that presentation? All right. In that case, then I'll move on to open forum.
Mike here. I just want to follow up with the comments I had last time about researching municipal bond funding for solar panel projects. I did go to finance.
Great.
Mike Doyle and I had a conversation about, is it possible to finance solar panels on municipal buildings through municipal bonding, right? And that doesn't flow off the tongue, but that's what's the concept behind it. And it is. No one in Connecticut has ever done it. So it would be brand new. Everyone has used what are called PPAs. And so I dug into this quite a bit just to kind of know that, how that worked and what the formula was financially. And I do have a meeting with Amy Merriweather on the 22nd just to talk about how it works. No, I don't want anyone to think that I'm going out there and doing something off the reservation. But the concept, I built a financial model, which I sent to her, and I wanted her to look at it because she's in finance for the town, and she would be able to opine on whether or not it made any sense. And the key aspects that I discovered is that the PPAs are very interesting and very compelling, and they have a great story. They've saved a lot of money for a lot of towns, long-term, I think, forecast. But the two key elements that municipal bond funding would do, which PPAs can't, is that they would fix the interest rate at a very, very low rate. We are a AAA bond. We are a AAA credit in the state, and we have $92 million of credit outstanding. So $1 million solar project for the town of Simsbury is candidly a drop in the bucket relative to their current capital structure. And come 4 or 5 months, we're going to have a 4% interest rate on our AAAs. The average municipal project, I know they said at Lodestar that's about 20 years. It's actually 25 years, and it can last as long as 35 years. And so, and 20 years is conservative, and that's smart for them to come to that point, but I mean, 25 years is kind of the minimum industry average. So when you start to look at that financing at that rate, solar becomes super attractive. Second thing is, when you finance it yourself versus going through a PPA, you own the inflation, which is huge. So inflation in Connecticut over the last 25 years for energy is 5.5%, far more than the CPI has been over the last 25 years. Last year was 9.9%. So my model is rough, and that's why I sent it over to Amy. I just wanted her to look at it. I dug all through, pulled out kilowatt hour rates in Connecticut for municipalities. I pulled out, like what $1 million of solar power, what does it actually generate in kilowatt hours? And I put this whole thing together, and I don't expect her to be an expert on all of it, nor do I expect myself to be right on all of it. But it's just a ballpark estimate. But, at a 5.5% inflation rate over 25 years, my rough numbers are for every dollar you put in the municipal bond funding, net, you save about $4.70 over 25 years. If it's 9.9%, it's like $9. So if you do $1 million solar project, Simsbury benefits somewhere between $4.5 and $9 million, right? So I think it's a compelling thing to proceed down the line with. I still think PPAs are great. I don't think they're wrong. It's just that when you think about a 5.5% inflation rate, and you think about it tomorrow, okay, so $1 coffee costs 5 cents more. Put it out 25 years. Energy is going to be 5.5% every year. I mean, you're talking 3.5, 4 times the cost we're paying today. And you don't have to pay that because you have the energy. So I think it's a very compelling argument. It's at least worth exploring. And it's not, you can still do a PPA on Tuesday, and 2 years from now, do a municipal funding. It doesn't mean that one changes or the other is bad. It's just, I think it's worth exploring. And as I said, no one's done it in the state, but it's legal in the state. And we have a AAA credit rating. I mean, who better than us to do something like this? And by the way, I'd be happy to share the model. Please don't, poke holes in it. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm a perfect Excel guy. You have a degree in finance. That helps. That might help. But as I said, I think it's tremendously interesting. It really would be groundbreaking in Simsbury to do it because no one's done it in the state. And when you're looking at PPAs, they're funding at 10 to 12% is what they're borrowing at to buy solar panels because they don't have our credit raising ability. I think it could be, and as I said, I think Baird, you and I talked about this. We could take a bridge loan early if we don't have the bond funding set yet, and then we could pay off the bridge loan with the bond funding. So we could technically even jump in early and say, okay, we'll pay our 9%, 10% for 6 months, and then we'll fund it with bonds. And I think I think there's a ton of people in Connecticut, not only in Simsbury, but in Connecticut, that would say, wait, you're doing green energy funding for your municipal buildings? Sign me up. I'll buy those bonds. I think that's the nature of this state. People would, if I'm going to buy a bond from a town and I can find out it's solar, clean energy, environment, I'm in. So again, I think it's very early, and I'm not telling you I have any, but I did do all this research on it. I do believe, and I'll follow up next meeting and tell you what Amy thinks. And if anyone wants the model, because they like Excel spreadsheets, some people do. I'm not saying everybody does, but if you like Excel spreadsheets and you want to take it with a model, it's a simple model. It's not rocket science, and it's all set. But I do believe that if we were saying, like, if you go through a PPA and you have to talk about, okay, we're going to save 10 cents a kilowatt hour for these buildings, and you start to do the math, and everyone's like, we say, wait a minute, look at this. We raise the money, we're saving, $4 for every dollar of municipal bonds we raise. We're not asking for budget money. Every dollar of municipal bonds we raise, we're going to save $4 net. We might save $8 net. And here's the kicker. A lot of solar panels last over 25 years. So if you funded it for 25 years and it made it 30 years to 35 years, it's all gravy. That's all gravy. So that's what I did. I'll send anyone who wants anything, but I just wanted to follow up and let you know what I did. And then I'll follow up next weekend or next meeting with what Amy and I talk about.
Great.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that. And please send, I'm curious to see, I love a good Excel. So curious to see that. And
I will send it to you. I'll send you everybody on the email that's on the committee. And if anyone thinks anyone else should have it, just for it. It's not like proprietary or anything genius.
No worries. Perfect. And let me know if you needed or wanted me to join in the conversation, but by all means, don't feel like you must.
I don't mind. I mean, it's not, I think it's really just going to be, okay, if we did this, what's the timeline for issuing bonds, right?
Right.
So the concept would be, is because I know, Baird, you said that there's a point where you want to have a project to ensure you have the credits, right? So I wanted to understand timelines because, right, if we go down this path and we can't issue a municipal bond because whatever protocols that are for issuing bonds in the town, we can't issue it until next September, and that's too late. All right, well, that's a problem. But we could conceivably launch the program, bridge loan it, have the bonds pay it off. So there's still, but it gets complicated, right? Then it starts to get complicated.
And this can also be, to your point, this could work for some projects that we don't even have identified yet. It could be a yes and. And I see, Mark, you've been patiently with the hand up, and I think you're excited to jump into.
And one other note: there's a lot of roofing projects coming up in the course of the next couple of years. So it's actually very pertinent because if you go to, I got a copy of the capital budget from Mike Doyle, and it's like, there's a lot of roofing work going on.
Like Henry James
over the
School,
next
you're
3
saying?
years.
Or,
All the schools, all municipal buildings. There's plenty of buildings getting their roofs redone, and there's a couple that have already had them redone, set for solar. So, I mean, we're in a very sweet spot to say, we have a great credit rating.
Yep.
We got a lot of roofs being done. We've got a lot of roofs set up, and we've got expiration of federal credits. It's almost like,
agree, Mark.
A couple of things. I want to really echo a lot of what Mike said. That's it's really important, and it's a big point that you're making. I mean, with the town being able to borrow at the rates we can, as you say, solar projects become very attractive. And one of the reasons I think it hasn't been done is that in the past, nonprofits and municipalities couldn't get the investment tax credit because they don't pay taxes. So they had to do a PPA where some other party was being able to use the investment tax credit and pass it on somehow. But we now, because of this direct pay option, which in the Inflation Reduction Act, a municipality or a nonprofit can actually get the investment tax credit paid out directly as a check. So there are options available that didn't used to be available. But it's a great option. And you've highlighted the main point. You know, we have a good borrowing rate, so solar becomes very attractive. And I love a spreadsheet too. So happy to look over your.
Look, I'll send it around. And by the way, pick at it. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not proprietary. I really did a shot at it I use it to learn, you know, what is the concept? What is the numbers? How do they work? And in all candor, I was super surprised. I was so surprised how much money we could save over the next 25 years. I kept going back over it. I kept going back to AI going, tell me these numbers again. Is this right? And I would go to 2 or 3 different AIs to try to double check. It looks like, I mean, I think we're in this kind of interesting intersection. And by the way, even without the credit, it works really well. It works really well. It's not like the credit is necessary. It's awesome because you take 30% off the cost. No doubt it's going to be 30% better than it would have been, but it still works really well.
And that's a good thing because it's my understanding that credit will be, and clearly, Mark, you would probably know better than I would, that credit will be gone after, is it July of next year?
July,
and up until July, I think you're handcuffed to order materials from a approved list of countries which have not yet been named, but which will diminish the pool of suppliers and increase the demand for that smaller pool of suppliers. So that 30% tax credit, you might end up with more expensive materials if you're working from that selected list. And again, you would have to have kicked that project off to a sufficient extent by, it's July, right? I think of 2026.
I think it's July.
Yeah.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. I think Bayard told me it was July, and I think he's probably right. He's closer to it than I am. I'm sure he's right.
Great work. Because again, this is the type of thinking that is going to help unlock investment for savings.
No one in the state has done it. And you might be right, Mark, that it's because of the crediting that you didn't get it. But when you do the math, you're like, oh my God, the muni bond rates, this works. This really works. All right, but I'll stop.
Is there anything else for open forum tonight? No. All right. Then do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
I'll make the
adjourn.
motion. I'll second.
Great, thank you. Anyone
Who
opposed?
second?
Lydia seconded, Michael moved.
Lydia. Okay. Michael first and Lydia second.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? All right. Then we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for your time tonight. I know it was a long one, but it was a really good one. And
for over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth, and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.